everyone, and welcome back again to the second stream of the day because I was streaming already today about the idiocy going on in the government. But we're not here to talk about that, we're here to have fun. And here we are to have a Star Trek stream, and I am joined, of course, by my good friends, Dr. Functional,
Hello.
the One Ton Hammer,
Howdy.
and Skeptalk.
Hi, everybody.
And today, our topic is Trek tropes. All the wonderful things that you can watch in a Star Trek show and go, I know what's going to happen next. Because this always happens. And
Trek has tropes.
some of them
Oh
are
my gosh.
some of them are good.
Yeah.
Some of them are good and help the plot in a good way. Some of them are horribly bad, and you can see them coming even if your eyes are made of plastic like mine. And some of them are just really, really funny. And we're here to talk about all of them. So
I have a quick question.
yeah,
How many did each of us come up with?
I didn't even count. I was just like, oh, there's this one and this one and this one.
How many did you come up with, Skep?
Oh, how big is
You guys really came up with that many?
A
Really?
Google
our
of- a
our,
Google
our Star
Doc.
Trek? I
Yeah.
would say on the order of about 1,000.
Did you Google?
No, I was
Yeah.
saying a Google.
Well, yeah, I
Doc.
won the internet. Yeah.
You Googled? You cheater. How many did you
Hell
come up
yeah.
with, Functional?
Well, there are plenty, but I settled on
Ah!
one.
I'm the only person who can only come up with like 2. I feel so stupid. I can only
That's
come up with 2 real tropes. I was like, this is definitely Trek only, and definitely a trope of just about every series there was. All of them do this. I only came up with 2. You guys come up with a lot.
See, no. Here's the thing. I think our criteria are a little bit different. You say it's got to be for everyone. I say no. It doesn't have to be for everyone. It just has to be a theme that comes up again and again. Trope is just the modern word for theme.
Yeah.
Or subplot. What used to be called a subplot or a undercurrent.
We have a different definition of trope then.
Well,
Maybe that's why
exactly.
I couldn't come up with.
Exactly. And trope, to go into the etymology, if you want to do that, is in to it says a figurative or metaphorical use of a word or expression. So that's pretty malleable,
That's broad.
in my opinion. That's very
Yeah, my
broad.
definition is a little bit more
you can hammer that
precise.
Well,
Yeah.
no, it's personal. It's very directed, okay, and it sifts a lot more data out because you're looking for commonalities at a series level. We're just looking for identifiable ideas that are in common.
My definition of trope was an action or a device that drives the plot in a certain direction every time.
See, that I've included, but I had a lot of criteria for tropes, like repetition, the one you just said, hammer, the action that's every time, something that further like you said, something that furthers the plot, but also something that, like I said, repetition, and can the viewer, without the writer's meaning to, or maybe because the writers have done it so many times, the viewer, before the characters is starting to go, aha, this is going to happen again, because this always happens in Trek, right?
Be it, red shirt or transfer or what have you.
Pete just asked an interesting question. He says, does the description tell you that some poor sod is wearing a red shirt to warn the blind viewer? Unfortunately, no. And it should. It really should.
Let me give you one of mine, because I only have 2. Let me give you one of mine and see if this defines better what I'm talking about. Very simple. What? We're the only starship in range? Why is it something happens and guess what?
They're the only
We're the only starship in range.
Yeah.
That's my idea of a trope.
We're the whole like we have this vast space federation of many planets of spacefaring species, but you guys are the only ship available
Every time.
Every time. Yep. No, that's definitely a Trek trope.
It's in the shows. It's in the movies.
Absolutely.
Sorry, phasers don't get installed until Tuesday. It was in that movie. It was in every movie. It's every time there's an emergency
that said, there are not a lot of starships in the Enterprise class at any time, given the infinitude of space. Think about it. We're the only starship in range. Yeah, we are. Because we're
right, but I mean, like, for that area of space,
nobody's any closer than 3 trillion light years.
Well, there was that one time the Excelsior under Captain Sulu he was closer to Praxis before.
Yeah, there you go.
Enterprise. Yeah, it was one time.
That one time,
yeah, one time. Yeah, I'll go with one. Yeah. But anyway, okay, so yeah, to me, it's stuff like the threatening lizard man who speaks with a Serbian accent, that trope of aliens from other planets who speak English.
Or the
how did English get popular with the lizard people?
Well, see, that's just explained by the universal translator, but that in itself.
Well, I'm talking in TOS.
No, but I mean,
TOS. Yeah.
TOS had a universal translator.
Did it?
Yeah. There are many.
It was selective.
There are plenty of episodes where
I believe you totally. You
playing around with the universal.
You are the archive.
Wasn't the whole thing with the companion the first introduction of the?
Yeah. But I will say that the universal translator in itself is kind of a. Like, because we would expect that if we were going to space, we would have the universal translator, but that thing figures out like everything, like even species they have never met before. They're like, let's put the universal translator and Spock to work on it, and it'll be fine. And eventually, they figure out what they're saying.
It's funny you guys all had different sort of like definitions in your mind of what like a Star Trek trope was, and mine was just quite simply like a literary plot device that sometimes reoccurs and has a certain connotation of kind of being maybe like a little hokey.
Yeah.
So mine was like the technobabble, specifically around like the deflector dish, and so. Yeah. First of all, the deflector dish is just something that puts up a deflector field that basically prevents them from like filling with small holes when they travel at insanely high speeds. And it just seems to be this MacGuffin that they always, we can just reroute power. Oh, we can move this, or we can alter time, or like it's this like catch-all utility.
In the Naked Now, at the end, use the deflector array to repulse off Tsiolkovsky.
Yeah, and you see what I mean by like hokey in that it's kind of like a cheap way for the writers to just sort of get through the episode. I mean, it was never bad. I don't think it was ever really bad. Like there were times it was more hokey than others, but I mean, it just seemed at times a little just like, it's the deflector dish again. Oh, we'll just use the deflector.
Yeah, it happened in Voyager. Didn't the Borg try to steal their deflector dish to use it to transmit a message?
Yeah, in First Contact too.
That was in First that was.
It was in Voyager with the kids who weren't
with the Borg kids.
Yeah.
And then 7 of 9 also co-opted the deflector array to get them into fluidic space.
I can see why they use it so often because, and they say this somewhere in one of the episodes, they say it was the only part of the ship designed to handle huge amounts of power, much
Yes.
more than the phasers
Yeah.
could ever generate.
Yes.
With that kind of, like you said, MacGuffin on board, they could use it for all kinds of things because it's designed to
But
handle the most wildest things you can throw at it, you know?
Yeah.
At its essence, it is kind of like a gravity EM gravity field generator. So I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the potentials of such, you know, futuristic science tech, and they always have some interesting techno babble around it. That's what like sort of differentiates it from one episode to the other. So again, it doesn't become completely like a tired dead trope.
Yeah.
Because obviously we
You
all
know-
we
you
all
know-
kind of like Star Trek a little bit, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eh.
What about sending in the senior officers on dangerous away missions?
That's all. Yes.
That's all through Star Trek. Tell me it's not.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
At least in TNG, they kind of
then
note that
there's-
you shouldn't do that.
But then there's the trope of Riker and Picard always having to have that talk.
Yeah.
I'm beaming down, number one, Captain. Captain.
There are plenty of times where Picard just says,
Fuck
number
you,
one, take the away team.
Riker. Yeah. No, but there's always that when he does, even when he overrides Riker, there's always that there's always that conversation.
Well, that happened
Captain.
with Riker and Troy. He was going to beam over somewhere, and she says, "No, you're
Nope.
in charge. You have to stay.
That
You
that
send
was in
them to go." He had to send Shelby over
Best of both
instead.
worlds. Yep.
But it is always an argument, even between
Yeah.
Riker and Troy. It becomes an argument,
Yeah.
or at least she has to point it out.
That's
More excusable for him because he's used to being the guy in charge of the away team. He's not used to being the guy who has to stand behind, like Picard is supposed to be.
yeah. Oh, Elwyn's got an interesting one. She goes, "How many times is Deanna overwhelmed by her powers? Captain, I'm sensing something. Is that a trope? Yes. Deanna's
sense-
powers
Or-
are a trope in themselves because they're very convenient, right? They work they work like for when it's necessary, and then it goes almost to the other extreme, like when she loses them in that episode, the loss,
In the dark.
and she gets all crazy and mean.
I-
And how do you people live like this?
I'd
One
even
moon
expand it
circles.
to be non-human crew members getting overwhelmed by what makes them different. Like you have Vulcans, they get overwhelmed by their emotions, and Worf gets overwhelmed by his Klingonianness. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, the that's true. The
I mean, it's good. It's good.
characters. Yeah, it is.
Good literary technique to show some weaknesses in some of the more overpowered characters, like Vulcans. Yes, 5 times our strength or whatever, but they're also vulnerable in the emotional department.
Yeah, but there is that common theme of, struggle with either being half human and half something else, or being being a main character that is fully a different species and having to work and understand humans.
Her senses are weird anyway. I mean, she says, "I can't understand that Ferengi is not being truthful to us, Captain." And then 2 episodes later, "I can't understand what Ferengis think because they have a multi-lobe brain." And then 3 episodes later,
Yeah.
The guy who developed the special shielding, he believes in what he says. How do
Dr.
you know?
Riga, yeah.
You just guys said you couldn't understand. Now,
The only person that could actually, and she's only half betazoid, so like the only person that could really, and she couldn't even probe the Ferengi brain with Loxana.
Yeah.
She had to trick Damon Togg into telling her the code, right? She couldn't just telepathically get it from him. right?
Mhm.
So, like, Deanna's just all over the place, right? Like, I can't. Like, it's very.
Something you said, BP, touches on another trope in that humans will get with any species.
Yeah,
Yeah, like half Klingons, half Vulcans,
half
half Romulans,
Katarian.
half
Isn't it
Katarians.
amazing
Like,
how
you just
all
get
of
with
these
anything
races all have the correct genitals in the right place?
Right?
Yeah,
that we are
exactly.
genetically compatible
How?
with.
Yeah.
Just-
How does
Yeah.
that work?
That would actually argue for a supreme being.
It would.
Yeah,
That's a plan.
yeah, yeah. No, I would totally be on board with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably become an instant deist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the clear telltale sign. Like, no, this cannot just be happenstance. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway,
If
we
we
digress.
Yeah, but I mean, like, that is interesting how, like, especially in TOS, like, even alien women somehow know that Kirk is flirting with them. Like, they somehow
Same social cues.
same social cues, same, ways of displaying affection. Like,
Lowering
there's
up the
no
eyelashes and batting the eyes,
batting
kind
of
of
the
stuff. Yeah.
eyelashes, the smiling, like, even kissing. Like, do you really think that if we humans ran in, like, somehow managed to find sentient life out there, do you really think that that sentient life would automatically understand what kissing is? Or do you think they would have a more reaction of the one that Lal had in Offspring? He's biting that female. Like, like that. Lal's reaction
That
was
was pretty funny.
more real, I think, to what an actually sentient alien race would think of kissing, for example. To, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, how the hell does every alien species understand human social behavior and mating rituals?
Do they have Google in the 24th century?
Maybe.
Boy, the universal
Mating
translator really
habits
can translate, huh?
Klingons.
Yeah, that universal translator really knows its stuff.
Why is there no alien where someone kisses and then another goes, "That's the anus"? They got close when they were in the mines. Captain, not
Yep.
everybody has their genitals in the same place.
Oh. Oh my god. That's
Can you imagine a race that has no gender talking to somebody like Beverly and just reaches out and grabs her boob? What is this bump on your chest? That's a breast.
I was surprised that none of the Janai did that.
Really? That's pretty funny.
Like, because especially
What are these?
Soren, like,
They look
because
fun.
Deanna's like, oh!
because Soren was so interested in being feminine and being around Riker. Like, I was surprised that she didn't, when she was talking to Beverly, like, just, what are these? I noticed that you have these and the men don't.
That's got to happen in some future Star Trek show. That's got to happen.
Yeah.
And next season of Picard, someone's got to reach out and grab Jerry Ryan's boob. What are these? Oh, they're squishy.
And so, as much as I love the mobile emitter, there is a trope associated with it. And
Which is?
It is the doctor can never shut up about it. He always has to fucking tell everybody that he meets, oh, this is my mobile emitter, and this is what it does. And then magically it gets stolen. He's like,
Yeah.
what the dude, shut up.
Yeah.
You didn't learn
The
that the
emitter
first
in
time?
trouble is a trope. That's a good.
Yeah.
It's a,
Yeah, it's very much
it's-
vegan about that. Here, look at this. This you can grab this and disable me right here. It's this button. Push this button right here, and it will kill me.
Yeah, like at least Data had the sense to not want to talk about his off switch. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Doc was always like, "Hey, this is the thing that helps me not die while I'm out of sick bay. Let me show you how it works." Like, it's like, dude, the
And then, of
first
course,
time that happened, why? Like,
If the crew's ever in trouble, they can use the mobile emitter as like a mini deflector dish.
mm-hmm.
You just push a few buttons and bang, it can now be used as a weapon or as a sonic screwdriver. I don't know. Lightsaber.
It's the ultimate multi-tool.
I wonder if they were trying to slyly edit in a bit of autistic behavior into the Doctor's persona.
Mm.
He is a bit of an OCD. He's certainly OCD, wouldn't you say?
A little bit OCD.
Can be. I guess he's just programmed to be.
I would say he's got tendencies. I wouldn't say he's full blown OCD. I would say he's more. Honestly,
it's not crippled. He kind of comes out as his energy. I think
I'd put him more as a like. I wouldn't put him as like narcissist, but I'd put him in the cluster B, like
really
maybe the borderline area.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just thought he was kind of quirky. I didn't think it was a mental
diagnosable.
Yeah.
I don't know that it is. It's.
I don't know. Zimmerman's pretty diagnosable, and he is based
he's just
on
mean.
Zimmerman.
Yeah, Zimmerman's just mean though. The Doctor was never like really.
He's more neurotic, you know. Yeah. And then, of course, there's there is the trope of Janeway being that and this happened. It's not just in Trek, but it was very, very prevalent in a lot of TV shows and movies at the time of the hardworking woman that doesn't have time for anything but work. You know what I mean? That's very much Janeway. Like even though she's in a very hard situation and she's captain, like her other officers, even Tuvok manages to find ways to like unwind a bit, right? But Doc basically has to force her to, even go do something by herself in the holodeck, right? It's the very much that trope of, I have to work. I have to work. Like, what was that Family Guy joke about the woman in the movie? And now we're back to a movie starring a woman who doesn't know she needs love because she's too busy working. Like it's something. It was a very common thing at the time, and they definitely made Janeway that.
You ever notice all of the captains seem to have an anchor point in their personalities? You have Kirk, who is kind of the cowboy. I mean, they even reference it, cowboy diplomacy.
Yeah.
And then you have Picard, who's a diplomat. Then you have Janeway, who's the scientist, and Cisco, the deity. They all seem to have this base thing about them, and then they work from there. All the captains seem to have that. We never really got to know too much Captain Archer very well.
I think that was the only one that we didn't really see the anchor. Like the only thing he had was
the series didn't last long enough.
I gotta have and the writing, like unfortunately the writing just wasn't there.
It just was unfortunate
to develop him, like because all Archer really had as his anchor was I'm the son of,
Well, I disagree. I think he was the explorer. He was the Christopher Columbus.
Well, they're all
character.
explorers, really, though. Like, that's not different, right? It's
Yeah, the
just
anchor point would be something that's not directly related to their job as a captain. You know,
he
something
loved the
that
dog.
something something they did before they became captains of their starships that they were known for. Maybe you could say that Archer was a test pilot.
Maybe.
Maybe that was his claim to fame.
Elwin's funny. He loved the dog. Yes.
Porthos was awesome.
Porthos.
He was awesome.
Yeah. I just love that Archer, who, does not seem like a guy that reads, named his dog after one of the Three Musketeers. Like, that's pretty cool. Because really, does Archer seem like a guy that reads to you?
Well, that was his dog's name. Did he name the dog? Or did his father? Or
I thought he did. I'm not sure.
Know. I don't know if it was ever mentioned.
I've got another. Go ahead, Scout. Sorry.
I was just thinking according to Hammer's definition of a trope that goes across everything is that all of Star Trek is about projecting Kardashev Type 1 civilization technology throughout the very large universe. They don't explore much the idea of humans or human-like aliens attaining a Type 2 type of civilization. Not even the Borg. Not even the Borg. So it's they never talk about the evolution of technology. They only talk about the projection of refinements of the current Kardashev level 1.
Right.
Of course, Type 2 being a civilization capable of harnessing the energy radiated by its own star, building Dyson spheres and so forth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then a Type 3, and that's a civilization in possession of energy at the scale of its own galaxy. Okay, and that's energy consumption at a ridiculously large number with 44 significant digits.
Yeah.
Ergs per second. So anyway, my point is that they stayed. They wanted to keep the technological frame consistent, and that serves the plot, obviously, because otherwise you're making epic movie after epic movie.
Yeah.
Or you have to do it justice. I mean, it's just too big. It's probably too big a subject for an hour-long TV show, even a series.
Right.
It's got to be you could give some aspects of it a miniseries treatment. But I mean, when you change the game that way, we don't even know how becoming a Type 2 civilization would change, our reality that we live in. Anyway, it's kind of a cosmic thing. But so I see why they didn't explore it. But my point is that it's always a projection of a refinement of Type 1.
Yes.
Nothing that comes ever close to a Type 2.
Not even some of the evidence of some of the stuff, like the Iconians or Q.
You can find it at the margins. You can find exceptions to this. I'm not saying
you're just saying in broad general. Yeah,
saying, broad generality.
Because look at their reaction when they found the Dyson sphere. They were like, "What the?"
Yeah.
Like, no way, this is actually real, right? They were flabbergasted by it.
It was probably science fiction for them.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But here's a trope that I had listed, and it's very much a TNG centered, although it does happen sometimes in Voyager, but very much TNG centered. The holodeck breaking.
Yeah.
The holodeck breaking. There's always something wrong with the holodeck, which, when it comes to technology like that, you can't be too surprised that because you're you're basically using transporter technology to make pictures that are 3D, right? And when you start doing that and making it interactive, you are going to have some hiccups, I'm sure. But
Especially-
good God, the amount of hiccups they have.
Especially when you tell the super powerful ship's computer
Yeah.
to program an AI of it, you know.
Create an opponent worthy of defeating Data.
Yeah.
What? Whoops.
If it's not the holodecks going down, it's a transporter.
Oh yeah.
And how many times have we forgotten that the shuttlecraft have transporters too?
Yep. Yep. There's always that the shuttlecraft chapter. They never use those. I don't even, except in DS9 they do use the shuttlecraft transporters in DS9, but
I mean, like, yeah, but technically the runabouts. They're a
true.
larger class of ship.
But I thought all shuttles had transporters.
Did
They're supposed to.
TOS shuttles? I don't think they did.
I don't think they did either. I think they had to dock and undock.
Yeah.
Wasn't like
Yes, exactly right.
yeah, because the teleporters on TOS sort of era were still a fairly new technology, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like somewhat just like recently refined.
Like there were still a lot more accidents that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there were, I think, more people that worked transporter. Like, because in later series, you see like one person, right, working the console. But in TOS, there's usually at least two people on the console. So and there was, a lot more. I think that was when transporter psychosis was still a thing.
Wasn't it a mission at Farpoint even when they beam McCoy aboard? It's like, oh, never
they don't beam McCoy aboard. Data has to
oh right
fly him back to Earth. Fly him back to
trust
McKinley.
these damn transporters.
Yeah. I don't see no points on your ears, boy, but you sound like a Vulcan. Just how do you know my age so exactly?
That's awesome. That is awesome.
It's Canadian bones.
Oh God.
My. Well, we're at least amusing ourselves.
Right? Let's.
Did we hit on? Did we hit on red shirts already? Did we already talk about red shirts?
Not really.
Just in passing.
We just in passing talked about it.
There we go.
But trope. Red shirts is definitely another trope.
It's serious because his red shirt died.
Yep.
Well, in TNG, it becomes the gold shirts.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basically, just anyone who's not part of the main crew is at high risk.
Yeah. It's, if you see somebody that you've never seen before at the beginning of an episode, you're like, oh, he's dead. Hello, new person. Nice to know you. Sorry you're going to die soon.
Yeah. Spock, Bones, take Yeoman Smith with you.
Yeah.
Yeoman Smith looks wild-eyed. No!
No, I don't want to go with them.
Looks down, realizes he's wearing a red shirt. Shit.
Oh, Jesus.
So, yeah.
Well, if Scotty got trapped in a transporter, McCoy had a right to be nervous. Scotty put himself there.
Do you think McCoy knew when he was beamed up in the first movie that the previous Vulcan was beamed up and was smushed?
I doubt it. I bet you they were like, nobody tell Bones.
Nobody tell him.
Just
Don't
get
tell
him
him.
up
Yeah.
here. Nobody tell Bones. What's that over there in the court? Nothing, Bones. It's fine. Just
What cleanup on aisle 3?
McCoy
Yeah.
looked cool with that beard too, by the way.
Why is the cleanup crew in the transporter room?
oh, the new chief. He
Shut up and get on the pad.
Goddamn.
Nothing, Bones. Nothing, Bones. Come with me.
The stupid transporter chief spilled his soup all over the place. Well, that
Pay
soup
no-
looks awfully thick. No, it's fine.
Pay no mind. Pay no mind to the guy with the mop.
Yeah.
Part of a brain on the end.
Yeah. It's an alien dish, Bones.
It's
don't worry.
Probably nothing.
It's yeah.
That's what Custer said.
Oh my god! And then there was, we're gonna speaking of series specific tropes, and I'm kind of glad that they let this one drop because they were really, really doing it badly. Was the super duper uber Native American Chakotay that always prayed to Akuchimoya all the time. Like that was like really, like they could have done that so much better.
Mm.
And I'm kind of glad they let it drop like halfway through season 2. I'm kind of glad that they what's it called, that they kind of let that drop.
Yeah.
You felt relieved.
I did.
I'm trying to think of other recurring things or things that irritated me that went away and that made me happy. I can't think of too many.
Wesley?
There weren't that. Wesley is.
Wesley
the most
saves
significant
the
one.
day. Yeah.
Wesley's a trope.
Wesley is a huge trope, especially the saving the day thing. That like I think the most frustrating ones are Data Lore and the game. Those two really piss me off.
Data Lore.
Because like even in season 1, right? You don't know very much about the characters because it's the first season. But even as an audience member, you're sitting there going, "That's not Data!" Right? And the only other person that goes, "That's not Data," is the annoying pretend ensign. Like, what? Like that really pisses me. Like, oh. Every time I watch that episode. Yeah, Jordy at like him and Data pretty much they become friends pretty quickly. And or even Engineer Argyle, who helped put them both put Lore together.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody fucking figures it out. Like and it's so frustrating. And then there's the game where nobody in 5 seasons shows any interest in addictive anything except for Barclay with the holodeck. Like that's it. Right? There's been no precedent set in this universe for addiction. As in fact, we even go so far as to establish in that symbiosis episode that on Earth at least, addiction isn't really a thing anymore because Wesley's like, I just don't understand, right? Why people do this, why people do drugs. And Tasha has to tell him, well, in some places, like on my planet, things are so bad that you just want to escape from it, right? And so there's been a precedent set that in the Federation, addiction is not a thing. And then all of a sudden, for this one episode, everybody is like addicted to this stupid game. And Wesley, who happens to be on vacation, and Robin Leffler, who we only see randomly every so often. So she's not even really a main sub character, right? She's just like, we know that she exists, right? And then she shows up in this episode. And they manage to save, and not even Wesley doesn't even save the day at that point. Data does. Right? Like, because Wesley manages to fix Data just in time for Data to come back to consciousness and start, doing whatever with the light and everything to snap everybody out of it. It's just so frustrating.
Well, he is the embodiment of of that larger trope of a Mary Sue.
Yeah. Wesley is a plot device wrapped in plot armor, described as a family member. I love that, Duck Dog.
That's
Well
not
done.
wrong. The troublesome little man-child.
Yeah. Motherhood. God, Brent Spiner did such a good job being evil.
Oh yeah, he can. That's a very talented and versatile actor. Brett Spiner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember from his days on Night Court.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
I remember seeing Star Trek and going, "Wait a minute, I know that guy. And I know that the bald guy."
And then there's the other series specific trope of Neelix. And this is coming from somebody who actually kind of likes Neelix. Like, Neelix grew on me. Because in the first season, he is rather annoying. But then when you get to the Detrell episode, right, and you find out that his exterior, like, chipperness and everything is kind of a little bit of a bravado to cover up for, the stuff he's seen and his guilt and all that. And you kind of get more of a character development. But he is such a trope. Like, I must be here to make Tuvok laugh. And, I'm going to turn the captain's private dining room into a mess hall without talking to anybody. Oops. It's just the random comic relief. Or, I'm going to show up in Janeway's ready room and chew her out and tell her that it's, this is what's wrong with Starfleet, because you're always going to go and explore beasts and blah, blah, blah. Just is the comic relief trope of Voyager, I think.
I don't like him a lot because I just felt like they made him so useless. Like, he's so ineffective at anything and everything he tries. He's got no place. I mean, he's supposed to be the cooking and the ambassador, but he doesn't do either well.
No,
he wants to be a security officer,
food.
but he doesn't have any training. Like, I mean, I don't like that sort of that character. That's the contrivance, the plot contrivance of just it's so forced. It's basically how I look at Star Trek Discovery now, is that everybody is a Neelix. And it's awful. either sorry. Everybody's either like a Neelix, but they're also a Mary Sue. Like they're awful at everything, but when it's their turn to save the day, they save the day, and it's
Yeah.
This is why I'm having such a hard time explaining it, because that's how bad it is. It's beyond belief.
Neelix has always kind of been the heart of the ship. I think that's what they were trying to get him, especially with his play back and forth with Naomi Wildman, taking care of a little girl, that kind of thing. It always made him the soft spot, the person you can talk to, kind of deal. That's the idea behind him, and they just try to give him other things to make him look stupid to be the comic relief. But
I don't have a problem with someone being the comic relief, but let's say just for argument's sake, if they made him an actual good cook, and people only took the piss, just in friendly jest, but he was genuinely a really good cook, then maybe that would sort of give something to the core of the character. We don't see that sort of fatherly heart of the ship sort of thing until much later.
Did he never become a decent cook? Was he bad to the end?
Yeah.
Everybody was just like, oh no, like, oh this, oh that, and it never sat right with me. It's like, why can't he have one thing that he's actually good at,
Well, he did, but he was good at being an ambassador. I
don't mean like good technically. I mean good in the moral sense. Like everybody came together, sort of enforce that sort of heart of the ship. What's one of the common things about us as a species is like we come around the dinner table, we break bread with our enemies, those kinds of things. It's very symbolic, and I think that the character could have been immensely better should that have been more of a trait rather than like that sort of butt of the joke you were talking about.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, I wanted to like him, but it just rubbed me the wrong way most of the time.
I think one of my favorite interactions between Neelix and the character is when he's like in the scene I mentioned where he's ranting and raving because the ship is inside the cloud, which turns out to be a beast, and he's calling it a monster, and he's yelling at Janeway, and she just tells him, this is what we're doing, so we're not getting your ship ready for you. You best, just sit down and, look out a window and whatever. And then she goes, dismissed. And he just stands there and looks at her and she goes, that's Starfleet. Forget out. It's like, yes. It's like, yes, Janeway, yes. It's just like, it was just amazing. That's Starfleet, forget out.
He's kind of unique in that he was that sort of jovial character. You don't really get that in any of the other characters were funny or had their moments, like Worf and Jadzia, or, Data and Geordi, or Data and
Picard even.
Well, Data and everybody, really.
Yeah.
They had their moments, but there was no one that was like the consummate joker or jester.
Kind of reminded me of Harcourt Fenton Mudd, but instead of being devious, he was incompetent.
Yeah.
And extremely altruistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Would you say that the thank you Data is a trope? Thank you, Data. Just as a to get him to stop talking. Just thank you, Mr. Data. or the variations of that type of thing, like where they have Kern and they're eating like the caviar. And he asks what it is, and Data's like, the unhatched eggs of and Picard's like, later, Data.
Much info. Whoa.
Hello, puppy.
Sorry about that.
Too much information, man, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like...
They make it an interesting plot point in his development, in like times where he's like going over, at the time it would take to get somewhere. He's like, shortens it and shortens it to, you know.
Yeah, because
There's always more from him. There's always something that he's always giving too much information.
Yeah. Because I remember there's a scene where he gives a time for destination, and Riker's like, "What? No seconds?" And he goes, "I've come to understand that you humans, prefer that I do not do that, or something like
Don't have to be as precise or something. Yeah.
There's a trope that I miss. It was only in TOS. It didn't seem to go forward because of the times, but back in the days of TOS, it always seems that the alien princess's wardrobe showed the most amount of skin possible
Yep.
before it was just about ready to fall off. That was the two options.
Yeah. But where it just covered the salient points that happened to be in exactly the same places they would be on
as the censors would want.
Yeah, exactly right.
It did kind of carry over into TNG, but they were a little bit more tasteful.
Mistress Beata was the only one who really looked like she could just lose her outfit in a split second, but I don't remember anyone else really who looked like her.
No, not TOS bad, but there was still that sort of trope of like the alien princess kind of sexily dressed, as we'd look at a Earth Terran woman.
Can't nothing standing out for me. I believe you. I agree with you, but I can't think off the top of my head.
Here. One of the things that was
the what's that alien that hatched and it would like imprint and would be
the perfect mate
was the name of the episode. Yeah. I can't remember.
Well, I mean, there's Troy.
The actress's name was Famke Janssen, but I don't remember the actual character name.
Yeah,
Kamala.
Kamala.
Tell me, was it really Kamala?
Probably.
I was going to say that earlier, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't say it. So.
Kamala. It was either Kamala or.
You don't know?
I can't remember now. Now I'm drawing a blank.
How is that possible?
Now I'm drawing a blank.
To the Google machine.
I really think it might have been Kamala, but I can't.
I have an exercise for us. You can
Kamala, yeah.
Oh yeah, I was right. Woohoo!
Good job, excellent.
Go me!
if you subtract the number of times that the Enterprise encounters a godlike entity, plus the number of times they encounter a planet mirroring an aspect of Earth's culture, and the number of times Kirk talks a computer to death, and the total number of TOS episodes, you won't have very many episodes.
No, you won't.
I'm serious.
Yeah,
Kirk talks computer to death is a very big trope. And
very common occurrence.
There is one that I wonder if you guys even noticed because of it being an audible one. But in TOS, they seem to have 3 types of music. There's the super suspenseful music with the deep drum roll, which usually happens just before a commercial break.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
There's the really nice, peaceful flute-like music that usually happens when a pretty alien girl walks in the room.
And something bad is about to happen also.
Or when something sexy is about to happen. Or and then to offset that music, there's always the eerie theremin music. If it's a beautiful woman, but she always has that sinister thing about her.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the fight music.
Oh yeah. I was going to say that. I was waiting to see if you would say it.
Yeah, that music. It's very.
That's exactly right, Hammer. That even sounded like it.
It's very easy to tell, like, what's going. Oh, there's a fight happening. even if there's no audio description, it's like, oh, the music is going like this. There must be a fight.
Something completely on the other side of the scale is, what about the characters in DS9 that have unrequited crushes on each other?
Mm-hmm.
There's
Like
a lot of
General
that on
Hospital.
DS9. Yeah.
Pardon me.
It was,
Yeah,
there
it's
was
just
a
the
lot of
DS9.
that.
There
Yeah.
is a lot of that. The freaking Bashir with Jadzia.
Bashir with
Or
anything.
Bashir with anything that
Bashir with
breathes.
anything, right?
Like,
That's funny.
he makes Kirk and Riker look freaking like elderly. Yeah.
Because I think that sort of added to the tone of DS9, is like people thought of it as a home, as a community. It wasn't a ship, exploring or politicking or whatever throughout the galaxy. This is people's homes. There's relationships, obviously. You have the married life, Keiko and O'Brien, and then you have the people chasing after each other, like Bashir and Jake chasing after anything with lady parts. And then you have the Jadzia Worf angle, the Kira Odo angle.
Yeah.
I
mean,
Worf like Days of Our Lives. It was like
you have the Rocksteady relationship. You have the hopeless chasing after the girl who's always with the wrong dude.
Yeah, it's the unrequited love trope.
Because I think the notion of people who serve together in TOS and TNG was it wasn't like disallowed, but it was still kind of verboten. Like, you just don't see people that you work with every day in those kinds of situations like that. Maybe.
Well, it wasn't frowned upon, but it wasn't like, it was not, the relationship wasn't frowned upon, but I think the blatant
PDA.
openness of it, like,
the PDA, the public display of affection.
Yeah. Like, because
I think the closest we get is Deanna with Riker and Worf. Riker again.
And they even keep it to like off duty,
closed doors,
like, or Beverly with the Odan, like, that was in quarters, like,
but she didn't serve with him. Like, I'm just saying, there was always hints that it wasn't even tension; it was hints at tension between Picard and Crusher.
Yeah,
but that never sort of like took off. But I mean, just to juxtapose that with DS9, where like everybody's getting down to DS9,
like, or even in Voyager, like, when Tom and B'Elanna become a couple, at first, Janeway is like, you guys need to like not be making out in the hallway. And then when in the Year of Hell, when Paris is like over focusing on B'Elanna, Doc's like, dude, triage, move on. Like, I get it, but move on. Like, you can't just hover.
I think the extenuating
circumstances, like,
I think the extenuating circumstances explain why that kind of happened.
Yeah, but
people were sort of pairing off, and
that actually is said in Voyager when Chakotay catches two people smooching in the turbo lift.
Yeah.
He tells Janeway about it, and Janeway says, "Well, people are going to start pairing up.
Yeah,
there's nothing we can do about it." He says, "Well, I'm just going to just use a little more discretion."
Yeah, but it just goes to show you the difference between like TNG and Voyager and DS9, where it's like, oh look, let's make out in the promenade.
But and I think that really lends in such a positive way across the spectrum of these shows.
Yeah,
in that they're the same, but they're very different.
Mm-hmm.
Costing's got one too. Picard and Darren, the girl with the keyboard.
Yes.
Can you blame him? She was a fox.
She was a hottie.
I liked her voice, like that gravelly, kind of deeper.
Yeah.
I like women with a little bit stronger, deeper voices. I cannot stand high-pitched,
wispy voiced
women. They drive me insane.
I know what you mean. I'm married
Of
an
all the
Alto.
Star Trek women, I've always liked Kalar the best out of all of them.
Kalar, yeah.
Yeah, even against Jerry Ryan, I always liked Kalar better.
Yeah.
I'm a Rolaren guy.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And she's, like I said, she's got that same voice, like that deeper
Yeah.
alto.
She's much more.
When
of
I
a
saw her
force,
on
too.
Battlestar Galactica, I was like, "Oh man, I'm all in here." You were amazing as
Piccolo
Ro, but oh my
is
god,
getting-
for you.
Piccolo has been getting huge into Battlestar lately. He's been binging it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The reboot or
No, it's on Prime.
but I mean,
yes,
which
it is the
original-
reboot. Yep, it's
The
the modern
reboot.
one. Yeah.
Okay, the modern one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the modern.
Not the ancient one with
No.
Going green.
No, the one that was around like the 90s.
Which has its own merits, by the way.
The Katie Sackhoff one.
The 70s
Gotcha.
version? Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's worth watching, in my opinion. If you're nerds like us.
You like interesting sci-fi. Yeah.
Ooh,
Kinda
I
hokey.
want muffins. TOS.
Muffins. What?
Hey, he's baking.
TOS just baked
I
a whole
told him-
bunch of muffins.
TOS baked us muffins.
TOS, I'm gonna send you my PO box
Stream
address, and
MVP.
you can send me some muffins.
I told him to send me all the cookies.
Elwin
Oh.
ate all the cookies.
Oh no. See, we need to have a Canadian frickin' meetup.
Frickin'.
where
That's
we
so
all just
Canadian.
Get very stoned.
And talk about Star Trek.
And talk about,
You're both up there in Ontario, right?
yeah.
Well, that's not that. It's not that large. You just
Well,
Go
actually,
over.
we are like in all seriousness, geographically, we are very close to each other.
are you
About an
really? I
hour?
didn't realize that. That's
About
an hour, yeah.
Yeah, about an hour.
That's awesome. You should. I'm sorry.
I'm in the big
That's-
city. She's like in the outskirts.
I'm in the
Gotcha.
slightly smaller city that wants to pretend that it's.
Well,
This-
all of Southern Ontario kind of
I was
wants
just
to
gonna
be a
say-
city.
Yeah, that's urban sprawl. That's
Yeah.
I've looked on Google Earth. It's just urban sprawl. It's
Yeah,
a-
it
it's-
starts up at Ottawa and it goes all the way down to Toronto and then all the way down
Listen,
to
listen to this.
Niagara.
70% of the population of Canada lives below the latitude of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Yep. Because it's too fucking cold to live anywhere north of that.
Well, it's the massive bodies of fresh water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Great Lakes really do that.
As we started the stream with Skep talking about energy, we finished with energy because
Yep.
those big fresh bodies of water were energy.
Yep. And on that note, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I will be over. I'm going to put the Twitch channel in chat again. I'm going to be on my friend Blindcito's channel at 8 p.m. doing a blind Mortal Kombat thing. We're playing in a King of the Hill, which is basically, for those of you who don't know the rules of that, it's
Be the aggressor.
you fight, and the person who wins the most stays on top of the hill, and everyone else has to knock them off. So yeah, that's what it is. So go to that link that I just put and follow Blindcito, because all of us blindies are going to be playing Mortal Kombat tonight. And then Pincalo and I will be live tomorrow on my Twitch channel for the Blind and the Special at 11 p.m. And on Monday, I will be doing a coffee stream. I'm not sure if I will be doing the coffee stream plus covering the vote on the Emergencies Act, because I don't know when that vote is happening. If it happens during coffee stream, then that's what the stream will be about. If not, there will be 2 streams happening. So, also join Functional and Skep Talk with the Harry channel tonight on Minions.
On Minions of the Zoo.
Indeed.
And
And after
also-
Minions, I'm going to be on Johnny Bonsaco's channel, probably with Elwin playing Pummel Party.
Nice. And then I will be with Skep on Tuesday on his turn for Minions. And then it's Wednesdays with Skep on Wednesday.
Look for a spectacular week.
And Hammer, you are also on Wednesday night at 9, yes?
Wednesday night. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you guys next Saturday. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Everybody.
Joel on True.